So a few of you asked to see how we manage food and cooking and all of that stuff for a family of 6. So today that's what I'm going to show you, everything that I do in my kitchen and the things that I've learned along the way that have made it a little bit easier. If this is your first time here, I'm Rachel and I'm married to Matt. We've got 5 kids and we have 4 of them with us, traveling the lower states, living in this RV. I'm in my messy kitchen. We don't actually have running water in our camper right now because we're in Missouri and it's gone below freezing a few times. I'm just going to share with you some of the things that we do to be able to prepare food in the camper for our family of 6. So obviously we have a small fridge and we can't keep a lot of food in there. So I am finding I go to the store I have to go at least once a week. I have been going about twice a week usually to get things. I will prepare my meat for the week all at once so that I don't have to cook every single day. It just makes it a lot faster when I'm preparing meals to pull some cooked chicken or ground beef or whatever that's already seasoned and cooked from the fridge or the freezer and just throw it into whatever meal that I'm cooking, and then I can make meals super fast. So I am using my Instant Pot here. I have the 8-quart and I think it's kind of too big. I wish I'd gotten the 6-quart. I don't think that you need that unless you have a larger family than I do. I do have 4 kids with me, but they're all 12 and under, so they don't have large appetites. Like if you've got a bunch of teenage boys, you might want this one. So today what I'm doing is I'm just going to season this chicken that I got here. Giant flat of chicken. How much did I pay for this? $8.47. I've got 7 giant chicken breasts in here. Like, they're quite large. At home in Canada, in Alberta, I would pay $22 for this flat of chicken. So $8.47 was fantastic. I'm just going to season it. I'm using just whatever I have in the cupboard. Paprika, garlic powder, salt, pepper, chipotle chili pepper, because I like things to be a little bit spicy, some Italian seasoning. I'm gonna brown it on both sides just a little bit in the frying pan. I don't like browning in my Instant Pot. I know recipes say to do that, but I don't like to. And then I'll throw it in the Instant Pot for 5 minutes, and then I'm gonna let it depressurize on its own for 8 minutes, and then it will be perfect. And then I will throw this into a whole bunch of different recipes. We like to make a dairy-free buttered chicken recipe, and my husband loves chicken Alfredo. Chicken tacos we do a lot. For my ground beef, I usually don't pre-cook that. I'll buy a bunch of it, and sorry, I just realized my furnace was on, so maybe that made the audio terrible, but whatever. I like to just pull my ground beef out and quickly make burgers with it, or tacos. We do a really easy, what we call lazy meatballs. It's basically, I used to make meatballs and roll them into the balls and whatever after putting the stuff in. Now I put the stuff in, mix it up, and then I just fry it in the frying pan, serve it over rice. The kids love it. It tastes the same. It's not balls. It's just, yeah, lazy. And then we do spaghetti because my kids love spaghetti and I love spaghetti. My husband doesn't really love it that much, but we actually eat pretty normally the same way we would at home here. I keep a lot of veggies in the fridge, stuff that you would use with tacos or sandwiches or that sort of thing. We do lots of sandwiches for lunches. Breakfasts the kids usually have cereal or oatmeal, and they really like hard-boiled eggs, which my husband makes those a lot. I always have my egg and avocado wraps for breakfast every single day with hot sauce. We don't do a lot of snacks. The kids my go-to is a peanut butter sandwich. I don't know how healthy or not healthy that is. A peanut butter sandwich or a banana with peanut butter or a piece of fruit or some veggies is usually what the kids will have. They really like pepper and cucumbers, so we usually have that. So I packed a bunch of containers in the camper when we started out for, you know, when we have leftovers and stuff. And I realized really quickly that that was super impractical. Our fridge is like just a typical tiny camper fridge, right? And I couldn't figure out how to fit these containers in the fridge. And every time you would open it, stuff would be falling on you, and it was just super frustrating. I went and bought a big box of those sandwich-sized Ziploc containers, and they're amazing. I put all my leftovers in Ziplocs. If I'm putting stuff in the freezer, it's in Ziplocs, and it's great because you can just flatten them or squish them or whatever. You can stack them, stick them in some little corner in the fridge that you wouldn't have been able to fit something else, and that's really helped. We also make a lot of gluten-free food because my 12-year-old cannot have gluten, dairy, corn, egg whites, oats, and a whole host of other things that I can't think of right now. So when I'm cooking, if I'm making something that has one of those things, then I'm making a separate, like I always have an extra pan. Example, if we're having tacos, then we're obviously just going to eat regular tortillas, but they don't sell tortillas in the store that don't have all of those things in them. I'll just take a little bowl out and I'll make a little recipe of tortillas for her, and then I'm frying hers. I will either fry hers in the pan first and then ours after, or I have two pans going. If we're making pancakes, we have two bowls, one with her ingredients and one with ours. And she can have egg yolks, but not the whites, so we put only egg yolks in our recipe and only egg whites in hers, so that we're not wasting half of the egg every time. So we figured out ways of making it work. We create a lot of dishes. I'll show you my sink. I'm gonna just pick up my tripod here. Okay, so this is my sink right now. This is just dishes from this morning. They were done last night, and this is just from this morning. I don't even know if we really ate lunch today. We just had a late brunch. This is a tiny sink, and it fills up so fast. So when I'm cooking, it helps so much if I just rinse things out really quickly while I'm using it, and then when the stuff is actually cooking in the Instant Pot or in the frying pan, I can take a couple minutes. I put some towels on this table that I have back here, and I'll quickly hot wash them and put them there, and then the kids will put them away while I tend the food. And that just keeps the kitchen not stressful to use. I bought these disposable plastic cups. Let me just show you. These, they also had purple in here, but we used those. And so what I was doing for a while to eliminate the amount of dishes that we would have is just each kid gets 1 cup a day, and they just rinse it out when they're done using it, and at the end of the day it goes in the garbage. But they know their color, so if we see a cup, we don't wonder whose cup is this. And because before, when we were buying disposable cups that all look the same, we were going through so many and wasting them. So that's helped keep the dishes down quite a bit. I know it's not environmentally friendly, but we have been using paper plates and stuff a lot too. We did bring some dishes from home, and we use those, but more on days when we're stationary and not super busy. So days that I have extra time to do dishes, we'll use those. And on days when we are busier and I don't have water or something like that, then we'll use more paper plates and that kind of stuff. So I've just put the chicken in the pan. I seasoned it. I literally just dumped spices on a plate, dunk it in, put it in the pan. I'll flip it and then put it in there. I just remembered that another thing we use chicken for is a spicy peanut chicken stir fry with broccoli and rice. It's so good. It's like one of our favorites. We are staying with my husband's aunt and uncle right now, and she made pork butt roast last night for dinner, and it was amazing. So I'm going to be picking up that kind of meat next time I'm at the store, just to switch things up a little bit, because we have been eating a lot of fish and chicken and beef. This is really loud, sorry. We do a lot of fish tacos too, because the fish down here, well, especially when we were in Texas by the coast, was so cheap and so delicious. And we'll just take out however many fillets we need out of the freezer, and that is an amazing, yummy, fast meal. Okay, so these look great. They're ready to go into the Instant Pot. I had to move aside this game that we were playing. And always check your Instant Pot. I found this game piece in there. Don't ask me why. Anyway, I'm just gonna put these in here. You're not really supposed to stack them in there, but we'll see how this goes. Sorry for the shaky camera, guys. I'm just not using a tripod right now. I'm gonna just layer these in here. Okay, that looks good. I'll just pop the lid on. Okay, apparently I'm not good at popping the lid on with one hand. So I'm gonna put this on, I don't know, pressure cook, 5 minutes. That should take a few minutes to pressurize. Sometimes I find with this Instant Pot, and I don't know if it's just mine, but it won't pressurize, and like steam will be slightly coming out even if it's in the right setting. And then I have to mess with this thing, like poke it with a knife or a fork or whatever, to get it to sit right before it will pressurize. So I'm not sure why it does that. So if I'm plugged in at a campsite, at a campground, or at someone's house, I will prep all my meat for the next week or so, because if we're boondocking, we can't necessarily plug anything in to use, especially something that draws as much power as that thing does. I don't know how much it draws. A lot. We have an inverter in our room that my husband wired in, but I don't think that would be enough for this. We do run the coffee pot off that because coffee is very important. We could run our generator, but yeah, it's kind of loud and we don't want to disturb people, so it really just depends on where we're at. So I turned the camera off, and then I heard the Instant Pot beeping, and I'm like, oh good, it's pressurized already. No, I forgot to put water in it. You need to put water in the bottom. I didn't measure, I just grabbed the jug and like dumped in a bunch, but so now it's repressurizing, and I'll show you what we've got in a minute. If I'm making tacos or something like that for dinner, I'll pull out the veggies and stick them on this table here. This thing is like, seriously, my favorite. And then I'll get my kids to chop those up and grate the cheese, mash up the avocado, cut the tomatoes and cucumbers or whatever we're having in it. And they get that done really quickly and set the table while I'm finishing up with the tortillas and warming up the meat that I pulled out of the fridge that's already cooked. And it really makes it just go super fast. They really enjoy working in the kitchen, and I don't mind them working with me in the kitchen as long as it's not too many people at the stove at once. My counter space here is really interesting and not super functional, so I have been known to be quite moody while doing food prep, and so my husband's really super helpful with that. He will take the kids, the little kids, into our room and like put songs on YouTube for them to just keep them occupied, so they're not like, you know, I'm not tripping over someone while I'm trying to carry hot food around. Another thing that you can do with the Instant Pot is you can put your roast or whatever meat you're gonna do in it and set that, and then when there's only 5 minutes left on it, you can take your potatoes and carrots and onions and whatever veggies you want, open it, like manually release the steam, be careful so you don't burn yourself. I usually do that out the camper door so that all the food smell goes outside and not into all my walls and furniture and clothing. And then put in your vegetables and stuff, and then reseal it. It will pressurize way faster the second time than the first time because it's so hot already. And then it literally takes 5 minutes to do your veggies, which is so amazing. And then everything, like the flavors are all amazing and taste like you had slow cooked them all day. I've done Brussels sprouts, which we love, in the Instant Pot, and those take 2 minutes. You don't want to do them any longer than that, and I release the steam manually on that too. I usually actually am so impatient and like everything in my life to be fast, so I don't usually let it depressurize on its own. And because my Instant Pot has this weird problem where it doesn't pressurize properly, and it takes longer to pressurize, then I find I don't really need to wait for it to depressurize. I can just do it manually and then take the stuff out right away. If you like your Brussels sprouts to be crispy, because they won't be if you do them in there, then once you take them out, I'll just throw them in the oven on 400 or 425 just for a couple of minutes to make them a little bit drier so they're not so moist. We also do pizza and stuff. I do use my oven quite a bit. Some pizzas will burn on the bottom if you put them right on the rack, and some of them are fine. So I usually use a pan. My husband usually puts them on the rack because he likes them better that way. And we've also baked in here. We made some cakes and stuff like that, and they turned out fine, but we haven't baked a lot. My daughter likes to make cupcakes and pancakes and that kind of stuff a lot. So those are really quick and easy. When we make pancakes, we will often make a bunch, and then you can put them in the Ziploc bags and throw them in the freezer or in the fridge, and then you have a quick snack or a quick breakfast or whatever. Or if we're heading out for the day to do some activity, it's just an easy thing that's not going to go bad if you bring it in the car. This is the finished product. If you don't dump out your liquid, you can make an amazing gravy with that, and you can thicken it with either potato starch or flour or cornstarch, whatever you prefer to use. I'm going to package this up once it's cooled down, and I have meat for all my recipes for the next few days. Another thing that I'll do, I forgot to say this when I was recording this video, was when I'm making rice, I will always make more rice than I need for the meal, and then I'll put the extra rice in the fridge. So when I have a day that I need to make something faster, then it's a lot easier. Rice is a really easy one for my daughter who can't have a lot of things that we normally eat. And so if we're making something like pizza, for example, which is gluten and dairy, she can't have that, so then I'll make her something she likes, which is usually her favorite is the lazy meatballs. Another thing we've been doing is looking to see what the cheap fruit in the area is, because they have fruits that back home are extremely expensive, but here they're really, really affordable. And we don't have a lot of room for a variety of food though, so I'll buy usually 2 fruits for the week, like two varieties, and then once we're finished with those, we might get 2 different fruits for the next week, so that the kids are getting variety, but we actually have room for the food in the camper. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and share it. And ouch, I burned my elbow. Please please subscribe, and if you have any ideas for another video, please put that in the comments. If you have any tips for me, anything that I didn't mention in this video that you think would help us out, or cool things that you've learned along the way, please put that in the comments too. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.